This is 𝗘𝗃 and welcome to Thundertown. So here we go, getting started on the ore mining area. I decided that this valley is going to be focused on having been and still being a very active ore mine. So I started plopping down these, blocks and set up a little ore area here. Some ore mining. This was just a little experiment to get it going. You can see now I'm sort of digging back into this hill so that I can create an area where I can have these roads do switchbacks going up the hill. Because, ore mining trucks are big and heavy, and so, they really can't go up a really steep incline. So that's why a lot of the mines you see have these around the outer edge. There's a couple of series by $2.20, the Broken Hill ore mine, and then his Marble Mountain series, where he's created some really beautiful mines, and they were definitely an inspiration for part of this, like for these switchbacks for sure going into the hills here. But as you'll see, I will be taking the roads and sending them underground. I want my mines to be considered to be underground ore mines, inside these cliffs and in these hills. So eventually this road that you see going through here gets removed because I needed a larger area for the steel factory, which you'll see coming up soon. So here it is where I've already removed it. And you can see the mines, they go through the mountain to the other side of these cliffs where I put a couple of ore mines. And I have the storage on this side of the mountains, like on the near side of the mountains. So the trucks are always going back and forth to get the ore and to bring it back to storage. I'm extending the road down the other side here now. Something that I think that's really important is this valley maintain a look and feel of a large quarry. So you're going to see these entrances to the ore mining areas all around the valley. They're going to be used just about everywhere. Anytime a road goes into the mountains or into the cliffside, it's going to be like that. Over here you can see the trains. Those trucks are trains. They run on train tracks, and over time you'll see the train tracks disappear as I replace them with invisible tracks. So here I decided I really want this whole valley to just be covered in cliffs. I'm going to try something really different. Rather than using the standard hillsides, you can see here this is the center plateau that I've already done. And I'm going to go around this entire valley in time, completely covering it with these gray flame rocks. Ultimately, I think it's going to be a really interesting experiment to see if I can do it. So basically there's like 3 really good gray flame stones that I like to make these cliffs out of. And I have them, revert, so I can reverse them, so I can go, I can rotate them forward or front side or back side, and then you get a little bit different of a look. So you'll see me here now getting some of these rock buildings, the ones that I love detailing along the bottoms of the cliffs with. And I put them along here, along the bottoms, just to get it started, to get a base going here to see how it might look. I was doing a little experimenting on these large cliffs. I'm copying it over to the other side now, and And see, these are really big. These some of these rocks are really super huge, and hardly any of it shows once you copy and paste them and rotate them a little bit. So there's going to be several, I would imagine several thousand of these rocks placed to do the entire valley. So here I am going around the, I decided to start using the terraforming asset, or terraforming network, in order to sort of flatten along the edge of these cliffs and get these rocks in here again. You just see all these trucks continuing to run because all of these openings go through the cliffs to their own set of 2 ore mines. So there's a ton of ore mines running on the other side. They're all the small ones, but still they produce quite a bit. And that's when I was thinking, what am I going to do here in this valley? I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do maybe some I'll do this mining, and I'll ship it out via these trucks. But what about factories and things like that? And so you'll see up here shortly what I sort of decided on. All right, well, here we go. We made it to the steel factory. Honestly, I did not understand how big this asset was until I dropped it here in the valley. I thought, well, I have plenty of space. This, it looks like I have a lot of room to drop this thing in here. Oh, man. And here you can see that my original attempt at the roads and railroad sort of cut through the steel factory. That's how big this thing is. So I decided, okay, I'm going to try to make this look like it's going through the factory, and maybe I can put I can hide a cargo stop under here or something. So you can see off to the side I have one of them, a very small cargo station. And here we go with those beautiful doors again. So it looks like it's disappearing into a tunnel. It was right about this time I was thinking, I don't like how it looks going through there. So I decided to start moving the railroad and stretching it to try to get it to go all the way around the factory. But I had already finished or done most of the detailing on this wall. I guess sometimes working on these kinds of things, it becomes necessary to tear down what you've built to rebuild it. And here you can see me just yanking big chunks of the wall apart and sliding them over. Eventually I'll come back and fix much of this wall, the railing along the edge and the military people standing on top. So I'm attempting to do in this video is to show this to you sort of in the order that I constructed things in. The odd part being is that I kept going back and forth. So it's gonna be a little disjointed, and it's gonna probably run over several episodes. Here's a smokestack asset that I just love. I love this super huge concrete with the ladders and walkways on it. So I decided I was going to cover any smokestack that I put down that I don't like. I want to cover it with these large concrete ones. Now I'm working on covering the cargo station with this building, this warehouse. And I turned it into a procedural object and, added a couple of them back to back. I'm going to copy them here and make one smaller to sort of mimic. You can see the top of the steel factory has that raised roof that's smaller in the middle. So I'm doing this all the way down this this warehouse. You'll see in some shots that there's actually more than one of these warehouses, but right now I haven't, at this point in the video, I haven't copied and pasted it a couple of times. There's a door I put along the side here because that's where the trucks seem to enter and exit. And that big building right in front you see there is part of the Dole nuclear reactor set. And I eventually removed that because I felt like when you saw it in this cinematic, it was covering the steel factory, and I really wanted the steel factory to be the main focus in the valley here, or at least in this portion of the valley. Maximus more than a name. That's right. So when I was trying to come up with a name for, you know, the leader of the town, I thought I'd like to have something sort of Roman sounding, like Roman Emperor type deal. And I was also thinking of MadMax, of course. And I thought, well, what if my town is Thundertown. It's sort of like Thunderdome, right? Well, what if I use Max and then Maximus? That sounds, bad guy, I guess. Roman Emperor type deal. So I put together this sign out of the Hollywood letters. And I darkened them to look like they might be made out of, or might be weathered a little bit or made of concrete or something. And then I thought, Maximus Mining and Manufacturing. What if this was a mine and there was a lot of factories and stuff down here before whatever the apocalypse happened was that sort of put us in this post-apocalyptic world? What if Maximus was a guy named Max or Maximilian or whatever, right? And his family owned the steel factory here and much of the other factories in this area. And after the apocalypse, they were able to sort of pull together all the people who mined down here, and so the family, the Maximus family, would still really be running the town. So let's say it's been 100 years since the apocalypse. We could be thinking, yeah, well, maybe there was the first one was like, Maximus Rex and we could have these different leaders, guys who take on different personas with the Maximus name. And maybe they've even sort of slid into like a empire, like a Roman Empire style thing of governing here. Like the Maximus family is hands down from generation to generation the running of this entire valley. So I wanted a cool flag, and I found these ancient Chinese banners and flags, and this one has like a black dragon on it. And I thought, this is kind of cool. I think that this is the kind of flag that somebody named Maximus might use as their symbol. So I also found this really cool. I don't know what it is. I'm sure somebody will say something if they know what this is. This statue, and I did some work to make it look like it's made out of metal. And I turned it to procedural object, and I pulled all these vertices down and put them all together, and placed it up here on the top of the building. You'll just see here now in this shot, it looks like there's Maximus up there. He's got a gun and he's giving you the thumbs up. So next up, I was thinking about storing the ore and some cool looking piles of ore that I could do around the back side of this area. And so I just got a hold of these assets, these piles of ore. And they are beautiful. I mean, really nicely detailed up close. And I made these little bins and started dropping them in there. And I used these, what do you call them? The block services buildings that are storage, that are the warehouses. And I tucked them in underneath here, and I put them inside some of the little buildings nearby. So the trucks will go up the hills, through the mountain to the mines, come back to these ore piles. And then when they need to take it from the ore piles over to the train, the trucks will sometimes run from here over to the train. So here I'm actually pushing back, using procedural objects to make it look like this bulldozer or front loaders be able to move this around. And I started manipulating the edges of all of these to try to tuck them in underneath these concrete edges that I did, because I wanted it to look like the ore wasn't just spilling over. So I used the three different color ores, the darker one in the middle, which I assume is probably coal. This brown one is considered bauxite, but I kind of want it to be copper, so that in the valley they have everything they need to be producing cable and wire. And then like the third one, which is the gray, I want that to be iron ore. So that way the valley is self-sufficient and can trade ore with other towns. So Thundertown would be an ore town. And then in the MadMax lore, there's a gas town that they probably trade to get their fuel. Although they're going to have some biofuel because of the pigs I showed a couple episodes ago. And, and then they would trade with other towns. There's probably a town that's all about agriculture somewhere that's survived in this world, and that's where they go off to sell their ore and get back what they need in terms of food, agriculture. Although I'm not 100% certain that I'm not going to be having some agriculture in the valley, but right now everything that I've done in terms of vegetation and trees is all either brushes and shrubs that are all sort of dead or live in a desert type of environment. Doing this kind of detailing is some of my favorite kind of work when it comes to City Skylines. I just love that you have the ability to do this, to like reshape things. Here I'm using some of these ore buildings that are just gorgeous, and a couple of them I turn into procedural objects, and a couple of them I actually leave as industry buildings. Get this all lined up here, and I'm going to take this one on the end here, and eventually I'm going to copy and paste it over on another side of the town. It's like I wanted to have two of each. Well, here I am trying to find some more of these really cool ore buildings to just drop around town here. Oh, here we go. So I placed this one here near the entrance at the bottom of the switchbacks, just because I thought this would be a really, really interesting place to have the last one of these. And kind of an area that you're not going to have a building in. It's too close to the guard tower or the big fence, the big wall that guards this area. But I thought the ore could be easily stacked up here, and it'd be kind of cool. So just as I've done around the radio plateau and that other plateau that you haven't seen me build anything on yet, I've sort of covered most of the valley with these rocks. You know, anytime there's a little elevation change, I come in here and I've been detailing putting these rocks in here so that everything is just built into a rocky, cliffy area. Behind this, you can see all the entrances to the mines. I built a special mine entrance that has all kinds of little pipes and wires and, ventilation looking things on it, and replaced all of the ones I had put in here previously with these. I couldn't find the footage of me actually constructing them in the first place in order to give you a shot of it, but if I do find it, it's going to go probably in the bonus feature at the end of one of the future episodes. So here you can see in the valley, I've already put down a building. I wanted to put some buildings along the edge of this cliff area. So I put down some buildings and, to sort of judge how far back I needed to go with these rock cliffs. So this is a functioning industry building. I've done a copy of the building as a PO and mirrored it to make the building look twice as big. So it looks twice as big as the stock building, but it still does function as an industry. So you can see here, every time I place one of these rocks down, I can mold it a little more to fit. So this ore building right here. Part of the building on the left with the smokestacks is a functioning building, and then these squares in the middle are all functioning. So I started out by placing the building and replacing the smokestacks. And so I don't have a name for this building, and I'd love for someone to suggest a name. I'd love to get anyone involved who's enjoying these videos and help me name this. And who knows? Maybe this will be we can name this after you. If you come up with a cool name, say something in the comments, and that's what this building is going to be. So here, this is, like I said, this is a functioning building, industry building, and I'm taking this single. I love this one really kind of raggedy blue shanty or shed or whatever it is. I think it's a shanty building. And I just have copied it over and over, and I shrunk down the little overhangs on it. Here it even has a door that looks perfect out over this little overhang. And I took this little rusty awning and I stuck it in here over the top of the existing awning, because the existing awning was just a little too bright. And I'm putting this building up on top here. I love it when the buildings have got like a raised area on the top in an industrial area. I think it just looks so cool. I don't know why they do it, but I think it looks cool, so I just do it. And I wanted to cover those vents that were spinning there. So now what I end up doing here is I'm going to remove this building over on the right, and I'm going to make a copy of this building and turn it into a procedural object and mirror it. So I get a duplicate of it that's exactly mirrored. And then I'm going to remove the smokestacks. I shoved them all the way down inside the building. So now you can see here it's reversed, and I've covered those like water tanks outside with that rusty one that I really love. And I'm now sort of reproducing, or coming close to reproducing, what I did with the other building using these PO'd sheds again. On the roof here, I'm going to eventually come in here with some props, with the ventilations props. I just love when there's some action, and something is spinning or, moving when it comes to these buildings. And putting the ventilation props up on the roof really kind of gives it that extra, sensation that this is not just a pretty thing to look at. There's something live here. So, the way the town is so very industrial and sort of overbuilt, like everything is bigger than it should be, or, things like that. I thought, what if, I love these little, coal bins or coal areas. These are actually little 1x1 functional industry. So I got some concrete curbs, I believe, and I just started making them bigger as POs and going around here, sort of just giving it this big, heavy industrial look. Maybe I went a little overboard. I mean, I was enjoying myself, There's my moving around my rusty tanks. I actually had some footage of this. I accidentally plopped down a huge water source right in the middle of this area and destroyed all of this. Like, it all died, and I had to go rebuild parts of the buildings that had done that. Now I've got an add-on or a mod that stops that from happening. Just in case I do that again by accident. So here you see the final version. Tell me what this is. What do they make here? What is the name of this building? I'd love to hear from anyone out there who would like to give me an idea. So next episode, we're going to continue with Maximus Mining and Manufacturing. You're going to see quite a bit of these other buildings being put down. The big water tanks up front here. Off to the right here, you can see there's like a train yard with some props over here, and right down front there's a maintenance facility. And then on top of the smokestacks here in the middle, you can see that there's some military guys up there. So I'm gonna try to feature how all of the rest of this is constructed in the next episode, and then you can see on the back all of the cliff face is finished back here. Hey, this is D13. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. Alright, well, in this episode for our post-credits bonus scene, we're just going to do a quick nighttime flyover of the valley here, or up the mining area. You see, I've done some work to light up and place the light poles all around the valley. And I've lit up the Maximus sign with these beautiful, like, yellow-orange spotlights.